All right, not quite the face of a man who's lost 6 in the last 7, but Stevie, Arne Slot, they're just doubling down on the fact that he's happy with his players, he's happy with his strategy. What do you make of it?
I couldn't really figure out what he was on about. You know, it didn't seem like particularly forceful on anything. He was kind of fudging it a little bit, just throwing all kinds of different things in. You know, for a guy who...
Does that worry you now?
Well, for a guy who last year absolutely 100%, when he sat in front of a microphone or sat in front of the press, talked sense, was clear, you were in no clue what he was talking about. I've sat and listened to that, and I really don't know what his point was. He kind of covered 4, 5, 6 different things a little bit, but none of them were particularly forceful, as if he actually believed what he was saying. So, yeah, don't talk. You know, if you don't have anything strong or correct to say, don't say anything. Just keep it short and simple and get out.
I think he was batting away some of the stuff that has been coming his way. And one of the things he mentioned was strategy. And that's not necessarily his strategy. I think that's a generic club strategy in transfers. You know, people have said, did you need to bring in the 2 strikers? And Isak, which was quite late, and Hugo Ekitike, which was a little earlier. And the Mark Guéhi deal fell through on the last day. And I think people have been pointing to the strategy, and I think he was trying to answer that and say, no, I'm okay with the strategy. The other thing was, when you look at now a lot of departures, I mean, there's a lot more departures, but a lot of them are players that weren't really going to play, if we're being honest about it. Some of them are obviously players that would have featured, most of them from the bench, like Harvey Elliott and 1 or 2 others. I think what he's saying is, if you look at the Liverpool team on paper and you put the team down, you would be very happy and go, well, that's a good side. Yep. That's a good squad. Now, I think that's what he's trying to say. What he's not been able to sort of articulate or get over onto the field this season is the performance. You know, if you were offered Mo Salah and the 2 strikers and Virgil van Dijk and Konate as a partnership, and if you were offered in the summer Milos Kerkez, because Stevie talked about him last year, really liked him. You know, most people liked him. Yep. There was a lot of suitors. But if you were offered these players, you would have taken them. The problem is, there's a lot of them out of form. There's a lot of them short of confidence. And he, the manager that is, I get a feeling he sat with his coaching team, moving the little pieces of the jigsaw and the chessboard around. What do you think about that? What do you think about Alexander-Arnold? What do you think about, Andy Robertson at left back, which is Stevie thinks might happen this
weekend. So you
weekend.
think he doesn't know exactly what his best 11 is for this Villa game?
And I think that's where the manager is. And I think we all agree, I think it's been a mistake not to play Ekitike in a couple of the big games. And in some sense, I'm a little disappointed if Isak isn't available, which I don't think he is, because I would have liked to have seen what that decision was going to be.
Can I just... That question of, do you think he knows what his best 11 is? I think before a ball was kicked in anger, he had a good idea of what his best 11 would be. But I think, and I know it's just, I'm sticking up for Arne Slot all the time, but quite honestly, if you are the manager of Liverpool, how are you supposed to pick your best 11 when you don't have 11? When you've only got a couple that are actually, you know, both individually and in, you know, partnerships. Salah and if it's Salah and Bradley tomorrow, you know, they've played together this season already. They look as though they've never played together. That's not the case. Last year they were great together. You know, Gakpo and Robertson last year played together. They were great together. Now this year they haven't really played together, but there's no guarantee that they would. McAllister, Gravenberg and Szoboszlai are about as close in terms of playing together as anywhere on the field. But even they haven't been great. And of course, in my opinion, one of the most important partnerships in any team is the centre-back partnership, and Van Dijk and Konate, compared to last year, have been absolutely awful. So, you know what? It's tough being Arne Slot right now, because trying to figure out your best 11 when nobody's actually kicking the ball properly is really tough.
Be even tougher after these 3 games.
Yeah.
Villa, Real Madrid, Man City. It's almost like he's picking the least out-of-form players at the moment, but he's going to have to...
Where'd you, Tom?
Going to have to figure this out at the weekend.
Well, let's go to Frank now, because we definitely want to continue looking at his brilliant costume. But Frank, what do you make about what the boys have to say?
I agree with the boys, and I especially agree with what Stevie just said, about the fact that he hasn't got the best personals right now, and if he knows what his best 11 would be, he cannot count on it because they're not good enough and they're only the shadow on themselves. But television exists. So if we're not at Anfield Road, we can see the games, and it doesn't need to go into that fake optimism, trying to explain that he's happy. He cannot be happy with what he sees. He cannot be fully happy because of what the players are showing. So we see it as a shamble right now. We know that they can improve. We know that some players will going to get better, and Liverpool, of course, will try to fight for the title. But right now, again, we only see the shadow of the players, and you don't need to lie to us. I mean, who do you try to persuade? Nobody. Just say what you see, because we're going to agree with you. I'm not happy. Some players are injured. Others are only at their 10% of their level. So what do you want me to do? I try my best. I do my best. I try to support the players, but something is wrong right now. And I really hope with the players and all the squad, I'm going to work very hard to make sure that Liverpool goes back to its best. But don't lie to people. I mean, it's useless. I don't know what's wrong with those coaches who thinks that we don't see, that we are blind and we don't see what we see on the field.
Looking at Liverpool,
I hope people actually watch the start of this show. And don't just nobody's just sort of flicked on now, and Frank's there with like a nose piece.
And Frank's speaking so passionately and seriously.
It's me, guys. It's me. In case you don't recognize, it's me.
There's our favorite.
Oh my God, they're letting anybody on this show now. Was that your projected 11 for Liverpool, or was that just one?
Because it's what I think he should probably play. I think the fact that other than Robertson, everybody else has had a week off. And again, part of the interview we didn't see on there was him complaining about how they've played so many games and all the injury and this whole thing. So,
and no Wirtz again, which seems like we're not even batting an eyelid here, and he was a gazillion pounds.
Yeah.
Dollars, whatever you want to do.
You can't afford to gamble on Wirtz. Right now he's gambling on a lot of players, particularly Salah, who's produced absolutely nothing pretty much so far.
Yep.
And so you can't have too many completing out gambles. You need to fill the side with players who you think you're going to get a certain level from. And so that's why I've kind of gone again with the tried and trusted. I've had Robertson in there because Kerkez is doing more damage to the whole team. Not just the fact that him and Van Dijk just have not... They don't understand each other. That would be the best way to put it. So that's why I think get Robertson back in. Him and Van Dijk know each other. They know exactly pretty much what they're going to be about. And more importantly, from Robertson's side, Aston Villa don't have any pace down that side. It'll be John McGinn. And so John McGinn's not running away from anybody, really. So you can play Robertson there. So I've kind of gone with the tried and trusted. They've had a week off, no complaints. Now you have to produce.